Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cannonbull Podcast. I am your host, Saint George. I am joined today by Mono, the one out the Matrix.
Hey.
So, guys, today we're going to be talking about Marvel. That's gonna be the umbrella of what we're talking about today. I recently watched the Thunderbolts. Mono recently watched the Thunderbolts, or should I say, the new Avengers. And yeah, we got some thoughts on that. We got some thoughts on the current state of Marvel. There's some articles that have been released talking about course correction and Kevin Feige seeing the error of their ways and them trying to change everything. We're gonna give our thoughts about that. And we would like you to give your thoughts about that as well. Anything and everything we talk about, you can comment and give us your thoughts down below. It's our podcast and it's your podcast. Without further ado, we're gonna get into it. We have a couple of articles here that I'm gonna be pulling up just as points of reference. But before I even get to that, while I'm synchronizing things here, I wanted to know from you, Mono, what is your surface level initial thoughts on the Thunderbolts? I mean the new Avengers.
Man, you're putting me on the spot. I disliked it with every fiber of my being. I don't want to ever watch that movie again. I don't want to ever really talk about that movie. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, this is Marvel nowadays. For me, I remember going to see it. I was a bit on the lighter side during the movie. I think I just enjoyed going to watch a movie that day. I was entertained in the theater, and then I did my usual thing of taking myself home and sitting down with the plot and meditating with it. And yeah, I just came out with a very low rating. This movie, I think, has a lot of interesting things inside of it that were failed to be executed and could have elevated the movie, but for some reason, writers in the MCU are just doing the bare minimum, if not nothing, and we get these type of things. So it's another dud. The box office isn't looking great, and we're saying the MCU is back, but honestly, it just must be hype taking over, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think like if we're going by the Rotten Tomato scores as the example here, I don't know how some people would try and use that to justify the movie should do good, right? It's one of those things that you've encountered way more than me, right, as a tweeting veteran at this point. But people will be
Oh,
like,
yes.
the movie's performance in the box office doesn't equate to it being good or something like that.
It
But then
being,
the opposite
yeah.
will also be true, right? Like if you bring up the Rotten Tomato scores about like a movie, they'll be like, that doesn't indicate anything about the actual quality of the movie. Like depending on who you're talking to and whether or not it's convenient to their argument, the Rotten Tomato score could mean a lot or mean nothing, and the budget of the movie can mean a lot or mean nothing. But this is one of those examples where it feels odd, right? That the score is so high and yet the movie doesn't seem to be performing well. Now, I say doesn't seem to be performing well because I'm trying to be cautious, right? I don't want somebody to come to me and be like, oh, it's because you dislike the movie. That's why you want it to not perform well. I'm trying to be cautious here when I say it doesn't seem to be doing well.
Yeah, and this is why I say Rotten Tomato scores only matter when Rotten Tomato scores matter. Like people like to use it to support their argument when they cherry pick it, right? Like, oh look, 95 on Rotten Tomatoes, it's good. Or look, 30 on Rotten Tomatoes is bad, and it only matters when it matters. Thunderbolts, their opening, or should I say the new Avengers, the opening box office for the movie was less than Captain America Brave New World. Captain America Brave New World was already having problems, and it only finished its box office with 400 million. I'm not using box office, I want to clarify now. I'm not using box office now here, guys, to talk about how the movie was either good or bad. I'm trying to use box office to show you the reach of the movie's net. Who went to see it? And I want to use it as a way to
Yeah, and like we want to compare that to who claims that the movie is good or bad, right? That's where the Rotten Tomatoes part comes in.
So yeah, guys, we're not really using the box office as a measurement of, like, whether the movie is
Indeed,
good or not.
indeed.
It's yeah, like I said, a pool. Like, who came to go see this movie, right? Because we get examples like Deadpool and Wolverine where like it made $1 billion, but the story, and you can even see it on the Wikipedia where it says people um praised Jackman and Reynolds' performances, but were mixed on the overall film. Which means, look, we're glad that Reynolds is back, Hugh Jackman is back, but overall, the movies are nothing burger in terms of plot. We like the fact that Blade is in though, and Gambit. That fan service. Wow, it made $1 billion.
You know how long I've been waiting for this?
You know how long we've been waiting for this. Woo, we're about to make a name for ourselves here. So
I literally had to stop myself from saying it because I was like, hey, bro, look, we can't keep doing this.
so that's just the thing, and speaking of box office performances and whether they are the metric of success or not, we have big man Kevin Fogoli on giving his thoughts on the current state of the MCU and the reception of the films and their box office. The article first came on the Wall Street Journal, but of course hundreds of other outlets have reported, and I pulled up some of my some tabs over here that I'm gonna be reading from, and we're gonna break this down and we're gonna talk about it.
I can't wait.
So the first thing I want to just check out here, or just tell you guys, is that apparently what is known is that Kevin Feige was stretched thin, or started to be stretched thin in the beginning of Phase 4. When the Multiverse Saga started, they started to get stretched thin. Why? Because Disney wanted more from Marvel, but Marvel could not, or struggled to, deliver. They wanted now to maximize their IPs on Disney Plus, whether that's Star Wars, whether that's Marvel, and they went to Marvel and they said, we want Disney Plus shows now. And Kevin was like, but this is too much. And they were like, now. And so Kevin got so busy to the point where people had to chase him in hallways to get approval of scripts and to get words out of him, because Kevin was so busy. Now, we have something here that says the strategy became just expansion. A former Marvel employee said of a post-Avengers Endgame meeting in which Disney's chief executive officer Bob Iger made the programming goals for Disney Plus known. Iger has since admitted that this strategy didn't work, saying in 2023 that not only did Marvel increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series, and frankly, it diluted focus and attention. By 2024, Iger was telling shareholders that Marvel's Disney Plus slate would go down to probably about 2 TV series a year instead of what had become 4, and that Disney and Marvel would reduce our film output from maybe 4 a year to 2, or maximum of 3.
Unlucky gents.
Yeah. I also want to see here or read.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mono.
No, I was just gonna say that I don't know if when somebody says something like that, if they expect me as like the consumer to react in a way where it's like, oh man, I feel so sorry for you guys that you bit off more than you can chew, or something like that. It's kind of odd for you to kind of explain to me that you made too many things and those things diluted the focus, instead of just like elaborating upon the fact that we have one guy who needs to give like approval on all of these scripts.
Exactly.
And having one guy for that isn't going to make a lot of sense for the kind of expansion that you want to go for. So isn't the original problem here that there's only one guy who can approve these scripts?
It's just
Isn't
a guy.
that the main problem here? Right? Before we kind of go on to then, okay, diluting the focus. The diluting the focus of whom exactly? Because if each of these projects has its own writer, its own director, its own team in essence working on it, whose focus is really being diluted except for Kevin Feige, who can't seem to do his job anymore? Who's the weak link here?
And a lot
So
of
it's just
people,
it's odd.
a lot of people online, Mono, were talking about how Kevin Feige has to go. And It's also strange that ever since Phase 4 started, every film has become a Kevin Feige production. I don't think it ever used to be that. Maybe I'm wrong. And you guys can tell me in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember seeing much of a Kevin Feige production until now.
Yeah, I feel as though he might have like slowly like worked his way to the position and point where it's now him doing all the things, and it might be now that he is kind of regretting that now he has kind of got to the position that he's in.
I feel like, personally, and it's a little bit of a more cynical take, Kevin chose to be ambitious. And because like when you're in a position that he's in, yes, the company can ask you for certain things, but also you as like the creatives kind of have to pitch things to the company so they can keep you in business. Show them why they need to keep investing. Mostly they show it to the investors, right? This is what D23 and stuff is for, to show the investors this is what we got going on. So I feel like a part of him kind of like got ambitious and pitched all these things and could not deliver.
Yeah.
You know? But I feel like the Forbes website kind of has some good highlights here we can just go over. And the first highlight is, it says Feige is very much aware about how things have missed in Phase 4 and 5 and is now trying to course correct. This is no doubt due to a string of high profile misses from Eternals to Thor Love and Thunder to Quantumania to the Marvels to some of the Disney Plus series like comically expensive Secret Invasion. That's bullet point number 1.
Oh yeah, there was a thing that came out.
Yeah, you know, I only remembered now because on this on one of the other websites, I saw Nick Fury in his like Secret Invasion look, and I was like, oh, that happened. Oh my god.
That did happen. Remember Gaia, the Super Skrull?
Oh god, bro. Like, oh, that character.
Oh, versus
bro.
Sentry. Who do you think clears?
Who clears, bro? Because she like has everyone's DNA, even Captain Marvel's DNA. Yeah.
Yeah, like he is more powerful than any of it, all the Avengers rolled into one. She is all the Avengers rolled into one. So like, come on.
You know, plus the shape-shifting powers.
Yeah.
So,
and like some of the children of Thanos, right? Because she did the Ebony Maw thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she took Ebony Maw's hand and Color.
And she has Drax's arm.
Yeah, how did she have Drax's arm? That was weird.
I guess they got the DNA of Drax at some point.
That was so weird. Like that finale, that series was, what the hell were they trying to do, man? Anyway.
Yep. Moving forward.
Bullet number 2. This will include a new focus on quality in a way that may have lapsed over the years. The more grounded Thunderbolts is being held up as a good example of this and a good start. But this is of course as a few months after the not great Captain America Brave New World, which promised to take us back to the Winter Soldier spy days. It did not. Now, the pressure is on Fantastic Four to deliver, and whatever's going to happen with the odd-sounding Avengers Doomsday. Now, Avengers Doomsday is odd-sounding, I can't lie.
Yeah, no, I think that is... I don't think it rolls very nicely off of the tongue.
Avengers Doomsday.
But, you know, it is what it is. They wanted to do that, so let them go, I guess. But something I wanted to kind of just like focus on for a little bit there in that statement that I think is just noteworthy is the fact that they said that the quality may have lapsed, right? This is one of those things that I think kind of ties back into this conversation about the budgets of the movies, the reception in terms of like, you know, scores like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. Regardless of how credible these things are, I think it's very telling when you kind of have to debate as to whether or not things are bad, right? Like that's how little information is actually being disclosed to us, the audience, and being made readily available to us for us to kind of decide, right? They try and deliberately muddy the waters by going, yeah, we don't actually know exactly the budget of the movie. We don't actually know what these Rotten Tomato scores, where they come from, who is the people who's liking these things or disliking these things. Like all of these things, I feel like is deliberately there and deliberately designed to be the way that it is so that they can continuously muddy the waters. And you can kind of tell that because of how even that phrasing exists, right? That it's like, you know, the quality may have dropped. It's like, wait, isn't quality dropping a thing that we can just measure? What do you mean it may have? Why is that up in the air?
Yeah. Why is that in doubt? And it's not.
Exactly.
It's beyond it being able to be measured. You can tell, man. Like, you can tell. In these articles, they speak in certain ways about Quantumania, about Love and Thunder, Eternals, the Marvels. You know, I don't know why they're saying that
But it's
Thunderbolts is
only
a
when it's
good,
convenient, right? When they came out, people were like saying, no, but like, listen though, like, it's kind of good if you think about it really, really hard.
which is just an hilarious argument, especially when Quantumania came out a lot. Like quite a few, um, some people were defending it a lot, you know, and I think that came from, and I don't know where it came from them enjoying the film. People just, especially on my Twitter, for some reason couldn't bring themselves to admit that. Listen, I really enjoyed Quantumania and the vibe it was giving me. It felt like watching Star Wars, so like I like that. Instead of saying that, they were just like, no, but the movie is good. It was so enjoyable, so incredible. The adventure was so good. And also, I've noticed something, and I think this is something to do with music. It is to do with music. Like, I think when the score is good and the score hits a certain note in you, it tricks you into thinking the movie is great as well. This works actually, because if you because a lot of people that come out to Thunderbolts and look, the score is it's good. I listen to a lot. It's good. A lot of people walk out saying how the score is so good, but just like certain scenes, especially when Bucky comes to like blow up the limo,
To save them. Yeah, that's the one where I noticed it. And I normally don't pay attention to the score.
like everyone was like, and even the score, like this, the name of that piece of score is called "It's Bucky!" exclamation mark, and it's like that can make you feel like, oh man, this movie, bro, So like, I feel like Quantumania had the same effect because the score also was. I feel like Christopher Big tried something different there, given what they were doing in the movie and where they were. So props to him. As for the writer, I'm so sorry, man. You should have tried harder.
Who was the writer of this one? Or was that Loveness?
Jeff Loveness, who
Uh,
felt very offended and abused by the reception of Quantumania. To the point where I think he went
And
on
he-
vacation off the grid and he wrote Quantumania on a paper and threw it in waters to cleanse himself, air quotes.
okay, sure. If I'm not mistaken, some of that script was written as they were filming, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't want to say I sympathize because I don't. But at the same time, I can understand why the quality isn't there. You
Oh,
can't really
he
expect much from that kind of process.
Yeah, also just maybe his experience as well. I don't like to maybe even say that because look, if you're a good writer, you're a good writer, right? Regardless of your experience. Um, I'm seeing here on his Wikipedia he contributed to Across the Spider-Verse.
Mm,
I didn't know that.
that explains a lot.
You know, so yeah, but you know, they quote these movies, you know, and they quoting Thunderbolts just saying it's held up as a good example of a good start. Because online, and not just this article, but there was another one saying that like Thunderbolts is the first of the course correction films, and it's like I know that you guys are trying to like Thunderbolts is not a good movie, and I know that article is them trying to pivot. It's like, hey man, people seem to be really liking Thunderbolts because the reviews. How about we say it's part of our new course correction, so when it eventually does well, you know, we get that goodwill back, and it's not doing well. And if this is the start of your revamp, it's not looking good. And personally, I'm kind of tired of the course correction lie. That's just
I
me.
was about to say, for me, one of the things that's kind of frustrating here is that it's not as though Thunderbolts is um necessarily the worst of what the MCU has to offer, right? But I think
Mm.
it is very clinical in how it does what it does, right? It is, and I've told the guys in the group chat about this already. I think that the Thunderbolts represents the MCU and most of like Hollywood's ability to look at what you like and dislike and then try and just take all the things that you dislike and mute it by overindulging you in the things that you like about the story, right? So they don't actually improve the writing. The writing will still have all the exact same flaws, but now you are more willing to ignore them because for that brief moment, they've tapped into one emotion or two that makes you a little bit more vulnerable, right? Like, so, for example,
Mm,
framing this movie as if it's like some really meaningful commentary on mental health, whereas a lot of its commentary on mental health just seems to be, well, you can beat it up until you don't.
yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't know, but like a lot of people will resonate with that story of mental health. A lot of people will resonate with a lot of the surface level things that the characters say about their mental state and perspectives of themselves and where they stand in the world at that point in time. And that is, it's very easy to get people to be on board with you because they want to feel good about themselves. So when they see a character feel bad about themselves and have issues that are similar to yours, audience member, and then they overcome those issues, you go, man, I feel good for them because I want to feel good like that one day too. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just feels to me like that's the lessons that they keep learning. They go, okay, so we need to make a character really emotional, tick. They need to lash out at some point and kind of have like you know, like the scene with Tony in Endgame, right? There's almost
Yeah.
like um this moment where they break down another character for the things that that character has done, and they need to kind of seem vaguely right. So we're gonna take that one and do that now in most of our movies too, you know, and
Mm,
that's gonna just be something that keeps happening, and it feels to me like that's the problem. Like, yeah, it is in a way a course correction because this is better in certain instances than other recent projects, but I think it's more so like it got away with it, not that it's well written.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then onto that note, just to build off of like that, where you were talking about the course correct lie, it feels weird when someone says that this is the course correction because it's like, man, we don't even know what the course is yet. We don't even know what the correct direction is. How can we already call this a course correction?
Yeah. We don't know, and
Like,
I
isn't
don't.
that something you do in hindsight? You look back and say, yeah, that was the course correction.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if maybe like come San Diego Comic Con, if Marvel's even going to be there, we're gonna see a course correction. And even if they are there, it might just be a thing of like, oh, we're working on Doomsday, we're filming now. This is the cast. Here's other members of the cast. That's going well. Yeah, the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers. That's going well. Maybe we'll make something more with them. Stay tuned. And yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is the cast, by the way. Yeah, we don't have anything new to show you because we don't know what to do next. So just wait for us to, do something and say we're course correcting, but we're not actually. We throw
Here's a
spaghetti on the
Doctor Doom
wall.
mask. Bye.
Here's a Dr. Doom mask. Oh, here's a video by RDJ telling you guys how like he's so excited, he's enjoying himself, And they're gonna make the video
Exactly.
with him in the Doctor Doom like makeup. Maybe his hair is the style of Doctor Doom for the movie, just to like entice you
Mhm.
a little bit, you know. Um.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And then they like really they reveal like that Ultron is going to be a new character in Marvel Rivals, so you guys should all go play Marvel Rivals because they do that for some reason now. Did you see
yeah.
the thing of the Bucky promotion?
I don't think so.
It's so like funny. Like it's not so funny like because it's actually funny. It's funny because um what's bro's name? The actor.
It's the Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan, yes. His delivery of the promotion, he's, he's so like, he's like, hey, chat, Marvel Rivals is releasing a skin, armed and dangerous again. It's like,
Bro,
bro,
so
bro, that delivery is so flat. He probably doesn't even know
dude,
like what is like going on. He's just reading the cue cards. That's all.
I don't know what is like with Sebastian Stan. Like sometimes he comes across like he doesn't want to be there anymore. But like then you see him laughing and stuff, and you're like, bro, like what's going on with you,
Yeah,
man?
he's such like a sedated guy by the looks of it.
Apparently, according to Florence Pew Pew Pew, he's very sassy.
Mm.
I think probably is like that grumpy sass of like, cause apparently according to like the cast interviews as well, like he asks like why a lot. Like they'll be like, okay, you have to just be like why, like why are
Mm.
we doing that? Like he's very, yeah, I think he's like that. Like why do I have to? Are we sure about why? You know?
Mm. No, that one was like just funny to watch because it was like, dang, bro, like this guy, like, I really thought he was gonna hit us with the armed and dangerous. You know, like he's gonna say it like that. He
Nah,
did not. He just said armed and dangerous. I was like,
that's
dang.
that's Anthony Mackie with his loud ass.
I wonder if they would make him a character.
I don't know. I don't think his ego is just big enough as it is, man. Yeah, his ego is big enough. It's funny. Like I don't know. Anthony, he's a funny guy. Funny guy. You know,
There was actually a tweet like I saw where somebody was like
yeah.
saying, "Name a great actor who's a terrible person," and then they posted a picture of like Anthony Mackie, and I was like, "What did he do?"
It's probably just because of how abrasive he can be. You know,
Uh,
it's just how abrasive he can be. Because like there's even the time where I don't know. Sometimes there was an interview with him and Elizabeth Olsen, and he was being a bit
mhm,
loud, and he just was very upfront with what he was saying. When she was trying to be
mhm,
polite and kind of calm, and you're just like, no, I'm gonna say it like it is, you know. And even the Tom Holland stuff of like, yeah, Tom Holland, he has when he was still younger, right, starting with Spider Man, he's got two assistants
mhm.
now. He thinks he's the shit, you know, stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I remember that where
people
people were
just
saying that he's like low key beefy with Tom Holland.
yeah, because apparently, like Tom was having an interview behind him, and he was being a bit loud apparently, and he turned and he was like, "Tom,
Mhm.
keep it down, damn, like, bro, like, you talking loud." And Tom was like, sorry,
My bad,
my
bro.
bad, you know." And I think people see that and they're like, "Yeah, this guy is a jerk."
Makes sense.
Uh, I just think Anthony's very. He's those people that are very comfortable in his own skin, you know. So he will like just say stuff and think it's funny, you know.
Mhm.
I think that's just who he is. So if you have like if you're
I
someone
guess
that
that's
gets offended
respectable.
easily, yeah, if you're someone that gets offended too easily, you're not gonna have a good time around Mackie. But yeah,
I guess that it's more refreshing than just kind of saying the right thing all the time. It
yeah,
always feels weird when the actors are just saying like bar for bar that it's like this feels manufactured.
yeah. Compared to like if you look at MCU actors, I find him one of the more realer ones. Like if you when he's in interviews or like on podcast, he's very much himself. He's real, you know. He'll say his stuff, you know. Yeah, he's very
Mhm.
much he's like a regular dude, you know, who just happens to be in like expensive movies.
Okay. I also
Yeah,
saw a lot of people didn't seem to be very big fans of his acting ability, but I guess maybe he hasn't had too many roles that were very challenging.
yeah. I think with him, it's a weird thing, you know. Even connecting to his character as Falcon, it's like very much he's been the side character, even as an actor, you know, like
Hmm.
because he's like talking is in a podcast he talked about it like how like yeah I've been in this industry for like years. I've seen people come and go. For some reason I'm still here. I'm Captain America now. I don't know how long this is going to last and stuff like that, you know. And even as Captain America, for some reason he isn't. It's
He
not giving
doesn't
him
hold
that.
that
Yeah,
presence.
it's not giving him the base that it's supposed to. You know, not like it gave Chris Evans. You know, and some people will say it's a racial thing or whatever. But you know, I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I guess it's one of those things that I forget the actor's name now. I think it's Brolin, right? Josh Brolin. He was
Thanos.
talking about. Now I don't know necessarily who he's referring to. I don't know like things that he said before about this, but he did mention something where he said that there are actors that he believes are worse actors than him who are doing better off than him in terms of Hollywood, and there are people who are way better than him that he's better off than, right? Like, and he was just kind of comparing that kind of notion that um he was complaining about something else in terms of like acting ability and what you bring to the table as an actor. But one of the things that he was kind of just touching on was that notion. And I think that that's pretty interesting to think about, maybe
Mm,
for Anthony Mackie, this is that spot for him as well, where you should be doing way better than you are, but uh, circumstances might not necessarily allow. Because I think Josh Brolin was talking about how he always brought his A game. I think that's what he was saying. Like I
mm,
always bring my A game. Like there's never been a time where I've never brought my A game. Just because you look at the movie and you don't think it's a big budget movie or that the performances everyone else is giving isn't their A game doesn't mean that I am not giving my A game. It was something to that effect.
Yeah.
And I think that for Anthony, it might be there right now, right? That he's got the big roles, he's doing a lot of different things, he's been here for a while, but maybe that recognition for that effort might not always translate into the results you always want, right? How much effort you put into something won't always immediately get the results or even that recognition that you wanted to. And sometimes there are
Unfortunately.
people who don't do that much and they get a lot of results out of that.
Yeah, the people that play themselves.
Yeah.
Because it gets to a point in like Hollywood, it seems to be a thing of if a lot of actors had to speak up on like the reality of what they go through, even as
Mm-hmm.
big as they are or like wherever they are, when they talk about the reality, it's usually a little bit disheartening when they talk about the reality of like, listen, I get paid this much actually, I bring in my A game all the time, but the movie doesn't do good and I have to just deal with that. Because I sometimes wonder to
Mm-hmm.
myself like, let's think about like the Thunderbolts cast, right?
Mm-hmm.
They I don't know if they look at the box office or not, but they maybe see what people are saying online about the film or like what the box office is, but they still have to
Mm-hmm.
clock in at work and go do interviews and promote the film. You know, of
Yeah.
course it was a good time for them. They met these people, they met each other. It was a good chemistry, but it's like, how do they feel having to gone into work, giving their all, and then looking at the reception, and be like, wow, that's not
Yeah,
doing good.
and to kind of double on top of that, right? Like, how does it feel to know that, for example, you've done your best, right?
Hmm.
But maybe another actor hasn't, and you were not maybe allowed to address that while you were recording and filming and stuff. Then look, man, I feel like I'm putting in all this effort, I'm doing all of this, but so and so isn't, right? And I feel like that's sort of what makes this now really difficult for all of us, because like there's so many instances where I talk to people or sort of ask people their perspective on particular actors and their roles and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
to I don't want to say really to a layman, right? Because that sounds weird, but like to the average movie watcher, they don't have as big a focus on the role in the same way that maybe you and I would. Like
Hmm.
for them, the focus is more so just like, do I believe that this person is portraying the character? Like that would be how good the performance is being judged on.
Okay.
Not really do I feel the emotions they intend for me to feel, but more so like, do I think that this is the actors playing a role, right?
Hmm.
Like that would be sometimes how people judge these things. And because of that, I sometimes talk to people and I will be like, what did you think about the movie? And let's just say, for example, they will say something to the effect of, um, what is John Walker's actor's name? I only know his surname. It's Russell.
Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt Russell. Like somebody would tell me, like, nah, that Wyatt Russell guy, man, like I don't believe the character he's playing. Like the character he's playing is it's so weird. Like the way he gives like the character like that, that's not how a soldier acts. That would
Hmm.
be the thing. And then I would be like, okay, so like what's your perspective? Like how do you think they could improve? They're like, nah, it's like such a phoned in role. And to different people, a phoned in thing is going to be different in terms of the
Yeah.
meaning of that exact words. But like what I'm trying to get to is that imagine being Wyatt Russell, right? And that is the accusation that is being thrown towards him. If that is, I'm just using that as an example. I don't know if that is the case or not. And then you sitting there at your home, right? You're hanging out with the fam or whatever else like that, and you see a person tweet something like that, and then you go, exactly, bro. That's what I was saying. Like, imagine being that actor. Being like, I was saying he was phoning it in, bro. I was trying my best. And now
Damn.
we also hear that the movie isn't doing well, right, in terms of the box office. And I think it's because people have this negative reaction, like imagine being like that, and then realizing and recognizing that it doesn't really matter how well you did or how much effort you put in, right? Because this is still a team thing.
Yes.
So your A game can only do so much, right? You need everyone else to also give their A game, but they're giving 10%. Like imagine that feeling as well from the perspective of basically anyone involved, right? Being a makeup artist, knowing that nobody will give a damn how much hours you've spent trying to bring this person's like character to life. But then everyone goes, the actor just did a brilliant job. And you're like, damn, bro, what about me?
Cause yeah, yeah, cause the only I think makeup artist that I've heard about that like was recognized in the recent years was the guy that did it for the Penguin. Because people praised
Mm,
Colin Farrell, but they were like also like, oh, Mike Marino, like bro, his makeup is just like
Mhm.
He just turned me into something else, and I was like, oh, they shouting out the makeup artist. That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty rare.
Yeah,
It's pretty rare. You don't get that very often.
that's how I was like, oh wow, this is pretty rare, cool.
But yeah, no, so just like it is kind of interesting when you hear these people talk about the background and stuff like that. But I mean, on top of that, like just trying to harken back to like the whole thing with the Kevin Feige claims, I don't know if you have like any perspectives regarding the things that they've said, like for example, the chasing him down in hallways and stuff like that. I kind of feel as though that feels like it's conflicting with things that I know, but I can't back that up with any solid evidence, right? But
Okay, yeah,
I distinctly remember people saying that he was the reason why the ending of Eternals was changed. But to me,
yes,
that feels as though the way it was framed back then was that he saw the ending that they had. Like he watched it, not that he read the script for the ending. Like he watched it and he saw the ending and he said, nah, that can't be, you need to change it. So to me, it feels now like, how can you argue that he was being chased around for scripts and stuff like that? But at the same time, it seems as though his only involvement comes in at the end of the movie making process. He just walks onto set, he says, do this, do that, and then dips. How can both of those coexist with each other?
the same thing kind of happened with Daredevil Born Again, where they were in the middle of production. It stopped because of the writer strike. He probably would have only went in like by the end when they filmed everything. Because of the
Mm-hmm.
strike, they stopped. He went to go review what they did, and he was like, "No, change this,"
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then they overhauled the
So
whole
it
thing.
So yeah, I guess I would just want to ask, like, from your perspective, like, how much of that do you believe, and um, I guess how much of that do you think that they can even fix, right? As Marvel, Disney proper.
How much do I believe of that? I don't really believe the whole thing of them chasing him down in hallways. This is not the first time that Disney kind of gives a statement, or Kevin maybe himself gives a statement about like how the environment is and how he's being stretched thin, because he's the same guy that said that they went on a retreat somewhere during the multiverse saga for a couple of weeks to talk about what's the next plan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's the same guy that says that we course corrected, like I think a year ago he said we course correcting. Are we course correcting again? Like, did your course correct not work? Why are you not just stopping, sitting down, finding something that actually works, and then going forward from there? You know, um,
Mm.
I don't believe a lot of like what they're saying. I think this is them trying to damage control. Disney is a giant corporation. This is par for the course. How or
Yeah.
if I think they can fix any of this, my stance has always been that Disney needs to like just pump the brakes. You know, you guys have a lot of IP. You have Star Wars, as bad as that's going. You guys are releasing movies of that. You have the Fox IP. Just for 2 years or three, just stop. Put people together. Give Kevin a team of writers. Sit down and let them map out what's next. Let them map out the content and let them come back to you with what you need. And then just implement it from there. It's that simple. But for some reason, they just don't want to stop. And I don't know why.
Do you think it's more like they're in a position where event horizon, point of no return type of deal? Like if we pump the brakes now, any illusion of momentum we've had is completely gone. Like, do you think that maybe that is like a concern that I have more than anything else?
Probably because we're not even in the middle of the multiverse saga anymore. We're at the end. Because next year is Doomsday and the following year is Secret Wars. We're at the end of the saga. We're at the finish line. We are where we were between the Ragnarok and Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp. We were there, you know? We're there now.
Mhm.
And I feel like what they're doing, and this is the murmurs and the rumors, we're going to cross the finish line with Secret Wars. We're gonna force everything now. You know, we're gonna course correct as much as we can now. But after Secret Wars, we're gonna wipe the slate clean and we're gonna try to start over. Not completely, but in a
So
soft
it's
reboot
it's
kind of
the
way.
opposite of Endgame, right? Because Endgame was like, guys, it's done now, it's all done. Yeah,
It's the
the
end
stories
game.
is over. It's finished. Tony's dead. Bye. And it was like, bro, there's like a bunch of characters who have like unresolved story arcs. What are you doing? What are you talking
We
about?
still
How did
needed
Hulk even get to the point that he's at? Like, what are you doing?
exactly. We still needed Ant-Man 3, Captain Marvel 2 and 3, Doctor Strange 2 and 3, Black Panther 2 and 3, Guardians 3. We still needed Spider-Man 2 and 3. Like we still had stories to tell, you know?
Yeah. So now it's gonna be like the opposite, where it's like, guys, there's still more story left. Guys, trust, there's still more story left. We've ended the previous sagas. That stories are done. Now we're moving on to the new stuff. Trust us. We've got this under control.
And going off of what you just said, Mano, the new stuff, and it's again this like corporate IP milking mentality. According with all these reports I'm reading here with you, one
Mm-hmm.
of them was that Kevin Feige has a eight. He's been telling the colleagues he has a 8 to 10 year plan about the X-Men, and the next saga
Ah.
is rumored to be the Mutant Saga. So you can take a guess of who's going to be milked next for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Mm-hmm.
X-Men, you know. Apparently, the X-Men movie, the reboot for now after Secret Wars, is already being written.
Whoa.
It's already being written. Mr. Sinister is rumored to be the bad guy, and they might not focus on flagship X-Men members. Wolverine's not going to be there. That's already, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a given.
I
Um,
don't think that's as much of a problem necessarily. I know I understand that like a lot of people have been waiting for like MCU X-Men for a while, especially during the heyday
yeah,
of the MCU era and stuff like that. But I'm not as opposed to like the flagship X-Men characters not showing up. Um, I would even be partial to them introducing new X-Men characters and giving those who might not have received as much limelight in the past, giving them some attention and some love as well. Um, I think it's mostly because I think that the X Men is one of those franchise stories where a lot of people don't recognize and realize how many like mutant characters there are and how cool some of them could be. But it's because like we always go back to the good old faithfuls, that a lot of people don't recognize and realize that.
yeah. I'm of the camp of like, okay, this is probably a lot to ask of them. I wouldn't mind seeing a cinematic long year take on someone like Cyclops, but in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of like we're not just seeing them here as like, oh, he leads the X-Men and he's Jingo's boyfriend and he wears glasses. Kind of seeing a character study of him the same way Tony and Steve had with him and maybe whoever's going to be his ride along as a character, which would have been Logan, but we're not doing Logan, I guess. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you know
I think his story arc would be something to the effect of like the price of being a leader, I guess. Like
yeah,
you're gonna be the punching bag of somebody at some point in a position that he's in, right? Someone's gonna hate you.
yeah, just seeing all the X-Men like Jean, Storm, just seeing us have like a real character study of them for 10 years and to see where they start
Mm-hmm.
and where they end. I'm interested to seeing something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um Also, I think that because we're going to start a Fantastic Four franchise and we're going to start a new Spider-Man trilogy. I think the three flagship franchisees or franchises will be the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Spider-Man. Which,
Mm-hmm.
some fans would be like, oh, great, that's the guys, that's the guys from the classic Marvel days in the comics, even, before the Avengers.
Yeah.
These were the guys, you know. But I guess it will be a matter of like if it's going to be good or not, and what's
Oh,
gonna
as it
happen,
always is.
what's gonna happen with Sam, what's gonna happen with like Bucky and them, like what's gonna happen with Yelena and them, what's gonna
Let's
happen with
have
them.
She-Hulk season 2 where Sam hires Jen to sue the Thunderbolts for the Avengers copyright.
You know, they probably gonna like reference her in Doomsday, being like, "Do you even got a lawyer?" Yeah, I got a lawyer. That new one from New York. Which new one from New York? Bruce's cousin. Oh, the She-Hulk. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
She-Hulk was a thing, by the way. I wonder if like people need a reminder.
Oh man, you see, so it's like for me also, I'm just thinking like all the leftover characters, what's gonna happen with them? Because it's gonna be kind of. I will feel for Anthony Mackie if by Secret Wars they tell him, listen, man, we're actually gonna bring back Steve Rogers. We're not like gonna continue with Sam Wilson Cap anymore. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, that would be kind of
yeah.
goofy.
Because in interviews, they asked him, how long do you think you'll be playing this role since you just got? He'll be like, man, I'll give it a good 10 years. And I was like, I don't know, Mackie. I don't know, man. With the way things are going, I don't know, man.
And I mean the way they've been treating your character, bro. Like I know the whole like sidekick thing isn't uh a role a lot of people feel um
Mm.
reverence towards, right? Like it's part of why I dislike Nightwing, for example, because I felt as though it was one of the inceptions of the notion that Dick Grayson being Robin is something to grow out of in a certain sense,
Mm. Mm.
because he's not the front man, and that's wrong. That's bad. Being a supporting role, that's not the good thing. You need to be the main character. I felt like that was sort of the inception of that notion, because the sidekick is always treated as for the female characters in a lot of the romance stories, that's sort of how they set up a lot of the main characters, the air quotes unlikely main character, where
Yeah.
it's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride, that meme.
Okay. Yeah.
That it's somehow demeaning to be a supportive person and be a supportive friend. Now, I understand if you wanted to make the argument that if you do that to the detriment of your own relationships, right? Like the always the bridesmaid,
Mm.
never the bride, that you're always supporting your friends and their relationships to the detriment of your own. I can understand if that's the argument that's being made here, but I don't necessarily think it ever really is. And when we get to someone like Sam Wilson, he's a supporting guy, right? Like that's sort of why he decided to help like the veterans,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, is because he recognized that he had these kinds of problems that he wanted to help people resolve. But for some reason, that was treated again as something that just made him more of a side character, not something to be proud of for him as a person in
Mm.
the universe. And his frequent appearances here and there, like in Ant-Man and stuff like that, also kind of played into this idea that he's just like this goofy sidekick. He can't hold his own and stuff like that. But I feel as though if he was just constantly doing that, a lot of people would come to appreciate him. Like many people really liked the Winter Soldier. He wasn't ever really the main character of the story, but
Nope.
people really liked him.
No. Yeah.
And the two of them got their own show together, and I don't think it turned out very well. But I feel as though he should have been given more of the opportunity to play that supporting character and play it so damn well that people felt it was a shame that we didn't get to see more of him.
Yeah. Better to get merit for that than to be than force yourself into the main role and it doesn't work.
And it's not to say that he can't be a main character. That's not what I'm trying to get at. But I feel as though a lot of the strength of the character of Falcon in the MCU came from my favorite line of his is "I do what he does, just slower." It
Yeah.
was just that acknowledgement of the mortality of what he does, but his objective is to help. He doesn't care if it isn't effective in your eyes. He wants to help.
Yeah. When Steve is like, you don't have to come with me to go after Bucky. And he's like, I know. Where do we start?
I know you really like that line. That's also a really killer line, man.
It's like,
Man, him and Natasha just such like, dang, bro, they're so good in that movie.
yeah, yeah.
I don't like that movie, but they are so damn good in that movie.
Winter Soldier, I love that movie. I really like it.
I really dislike the movie, and I really dislike the fact that they are so good in that movie that I can't hate the movie.
Yeah.
Like I'm just that petty. I'm sorry, bro. I'm like, dang, I need to hate this movie, but I can't. These two are doing too much.
It's just the essence of Falcon's character, even in the source material, to the point where, like, even in his show, his sister was like, he convinced his sister to let him help, and she was like, "Damn, to the rescue, huh?" And he's like, "Always." That's just Sam's character. He's always trying to help people, you know.
Yeah.
But they seem to like kind of divert from that and be like, "No, he has to be this inspiration quote spitting leader now." Where
And
it's
I mean, it just feels like ego the way that they present it, bro. It just
yes,
feels like ego. Like always, I go back to the do better senator where it's like he admits he doesn't know what he's doing and what the hell he's talking about, but he's like, but I think we should do better. It's like, dog, like they're asking you how, and your solution was like, I don't know.
exactly.
It feels like grandstanding, bro. That's like, get off your high horse, bro.
You
You don't
see,
have the answer, soy.
see that's how it comes across. Where it's like, and even Steve are kind of similar in that aspect. Where Steve, he always wanted to do the right thing regardless. Sam always wanted to help regardless. So it's like it
Mm,
could be a thing of like, okay, some people are trying to stop Carly, but he's trying to kind of like, okay, I have to stop her, but let me try to probe what's going on here, man. You know, talk to
mhm.
me. You seem like a normal young woman. Like, what is the reason, man? Yeah.
I wonder if it wouldn't even be more so from a Steve perspective, is that to what end, not necessarily like what's the reason here, right?
To
You're
what
doing all
end?
of
Yeah.
this, but then you do this, then what happens then?
Yeah. Yeah. And he should have done that even for everyone around him, because it now was becoming a thing where it was exclusive to Carly. He didn't do it for John, where it's like kind of asking John. You don't seem pretty. The pressure of being Captain America seems to be getting to you, you know? And then they talk about
And I
that.
mean, that's the thing. He talks to vets. John is basically a vet, man. Come on.
Exactly.
I mean, not even basically. Bro's got like 3 medals of honor. That's like absolutely insane.
The only person in MCU history to receive that.
I
Uh,
think in real life as well, no one has ever received 3.
yeah, no. That's why like it was such a thing of like, ooh, this is elevated fiction for you. Who's got 3 medals of honor, you know? Jumped on a grenade 2 times, led 2 successful counterterrorism operations. Yeah, he's like a captain, good soldier.
Yeah, and I mean, like a lot of that, the issue is as well how they frame his character is that a lot of it didn't seem as though he did it because he wanted to be famous or he wanted people to cheer and be thankful for the fact that he did any of those things, right? So, like, the writing makes it really difficult to look at him as like a vain person, but every single time they try and push it to, nah, he's got the ego. He's the one with the ego. It's not Sam who's got the ego.
Oh, look, Johnny's so selfish. He wanted to be the one to pull them out of the elevator shaft. And it's like,
Yeah.
John would, that's out of character. John
That
doesn't.
is super out of character. What did he say? I secured
I made a
my
tactical
safety.
decision. I secured my safety so I can secure everyone else's safety. And it's like, that sounds very stupid and selfish. That's not what you do.
And I mean, they would have died if they didn't do what they did to try and survive, right? They would have just fallen down the elevator shaft. So it's like, why did he do that? This is very different to a guy who would jump on a grenade to save you.
Exactly. This is the same guy who made a tactical decision in the finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier to drop the shield and save the GRC,
Yeah.
employees. This is
And
the
at the
same
risk
guy.
of his life, because didn't I'm kind of hazy on the details because I hate the show, but didn't he almost fall off of the edge, like he was slipping, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was still holding on to the van. So it's
Yeah.
like he was like, nah, I'm going over with it, but I'm gonna keep it up.
And they, instead of giving that moment to John, they gave it to Sam, and he's
To
like,
Sam, the music swell and everything, bro. And it's like, bro, the actual hero is right there. And I mean, I spoke to this one guy there at work. He seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He knows who he is if he's watching this. And he said something pretty interesting. He said that
yeah.
from his perspective, John is like the Job of the MCU. He gets
Oh,
everything taken away from him. He gets his life completely ruined. Everything is going bad for him. And yet you still see him try and do the right thing, right? Maybe his personality isn't always the best, but he's still trying to do the right thing, which is very interesting. And I was like, man, that's interesting to make that kind of comparison. That it's like the writers are even this guy's enemy, right? Even in the Thunderbolts, he's portrayed to be this really bad dude. He's a bad dad apparently, and all kinds of stuff like that. But he's still out there saving people's lives. Um, he's still like the scene when they in the desert and he offers them the cactus berry and stuff like that. Where it's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, that must have been because he was a Boy Scout, right? So like that must have
Yeah.
been like Boy Scout stuff. So it's just like pieces of his character are still shining through there, and it's like, wow, I kind of like him even more out of spite now.
Like he's still out there doing the cactus berry thing. He's kind of explaining to them how like, listen, they're doing recon, but don't worry, guys. Okay, they not doing it properly. They're not gonna see us. When Ghost gets like fried by the Sonics, he pulls her inside rapidly.
saves her
He
life.
saves her life. Like, a lot
At
of
risk of his own because he has to put the shield down while they're being bombarded.
even when they saving people in New York, I'm not saying like, oh, he did the biggest thing. Everyone saved somebody's life there, right? But
Yeah.
just that the way he kind of like held up that gigantic
And
slab.
that seemed like he might have not been able to hold it up for very long.
He was
Like,
not gonna make
struggling.
it. He was not gonna. And this is the thing about John. Like, this is the second time with the MCU he does something at the cost of his own life to protect people. It's like, Are you
And again, it
serious?
doesn't seem to be framed as if he wants to do this to be thanked or for like some sort of ego or anything like that. He's
He's
just doing it because that's who he is. He's just that guy. He's trying to be a good
he's
person. It's
trying
crazy,
to be
bro.
good all the time. It's like this is a
And he
top
never
tier
gets
character.
rewarded for it, bro.
No.
He says, oh, like, remember when he lies about his family when they say, oh, look at you, you've got a family and stuff. How do you do it? When ghosts ask him, I think.
Yeah.
And then he says, you just keep at it, you never give up. And he's obviously lying. We know as the audience.
Yeah.
But like, Yelena's response is, that was beautiful, Dr. Phil. What does she say?
Oh wow, beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Phil. And I said to like, you're such a jerk, honestly. Like you're the main
like-
character and you're supposed to be the person with the biggest problems, but you're such a jerk when you have to be. Like it's
And it's just like, why is he being made fun of for saying that he finds his family valuable? Like, regardless of if he's lying, leave the meta out of it for a second. From her perspective, it's like, oh, this guy has a family, screw him. What? Why?
yeah, well,
So
like
it's like everything anytime he does that. Remember when he talks about the helicopters?
yeah.
He's saying, no, they're doing it from 400 feet up in the air. They're never gonna find us. They don't know
Yeah.
what the hell they're doing. They're gonna be about 12 clicks out by the next 10 minutes. And then Ghost is like, 12 clicks. Oh, you we get it. You were in the military.
We get a Walker, you in the military. It's funny because then later on when they're in the limo and Red Guardian talks about his glory days, she's like, oh, you're not like Walker. She's like, oh, me and Walker are the same. And she's like, you're not like Walker because unlike you, Walker actually knows what he's doing. And then he makes that face of his like when he does that with
And
his
that's
lips
the other
like,
crazy thing. Remember earlier
Like,
on when Yelena made the plan to do the bomb to pull
Yeah.
in the first wave of the kill team, the strike team.
the
And
Ox team. Yeah.
Yelena's plan messes up. Her plan messes up, right? And Walker
And he
has to
told
take
her.
on the first wave by himself. And he did. And then he criticizes her, but the way that scene is framed, doesn't she like say that he messed up? Like she talks to him like, hey, you messed up. And he's like, no, you messed up.
Yeah, because it's like,
And he says that I told you the bomb was going to be too many variables and they never bring it up again. That this guy almost died because her plan messed up. They never bring it up again. He just can't win, bro. He just
he
can't.
told her. He told her, I don't think a bomb is a good idea. There's too many variables. And then she's like, no, I'm going to set the bomb and you wait for me. He's like, so I'm just going to wait for you. It's only going to work if you wait for me. And then she tries to give Ava a command and Ava's gone. And then he does my favorite stance in the entire movie when he lifts his head and does that thing with his face again where it's like, yeah, that's my favorite. And then like the bomb doesn't work and they're shooting at John. He's like, dude, stop. It's me, John. And she's like,
In the
where were
dark,
you?
by the way.
And she's like, where were you? And he's like, dude, where were you? I waited for you. And then when he's about to defend himself about like, look, no, I waited. Your bomb didn't work. The moment's on the cut. Because Yelena has to
Yeah.
seem right, I think. I don't know.
I really don't know what that was all about. But the crazy thing is, it's his plan that gets them out of there. But once again, he has to kind of become like a punching bag. Because if you remember, he's the one who disguises himself. Like, the scene shows it. The scene shows it. There's a guy who's, like, one of the soldiers has been stripped of his gear.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're an eagle-eyed viewer, you would have noticed that.
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah, so-
Yelena would have definitely noticed that, hey, bro, there's a guy who's got no clothes on here. What the F is going on? But it's that plan of his to disguise himself as one of them that allows them to even get out of the room. But that doesn't get brought up because he needs to be an idiot who goes, hey, give us your identity and stuff. And then he says, nah, I'm not going to do that.
But like, what? Bro, honestly, I think Yelena's a brown widow because her training doesn't come out sometimes. Like, I think she's brown. The only black belt is like Natasha. She got brown belt, brown widow.
But she's a brown widow.
It's a brown widow, bro. They have to give her a brown costume in Doomsday. You know?
That's going to be the next Hazam in brown widow.
Yeah, brown widow. I wonder, like, because they never seem to give her like a costume. And you've talked about how like they kind of force you to like Elena. You see it in how they portray it. I see it a lot in the way she dresses. It's weird. The way I can tell when you dress a character in a certain way that you want me to think they look cool. You know, because also, I mean, Florence kind of explained, she picks out what Yelena wears in scenes all the time. So I guess she just picks it because she thinks this looks nice. But just the way she dresses, like all the rings and the chains and the stuff, I'm like, yeah, you trying to make me think she's cool. Um, I don't think so.
Fair, fair. But yeah, no, I guess like just harkening back to like the original topic here,
Yeah,
right?
let me go to the next
Mini
highlight.
Thunderbolts review.
That was really. Uh, so the second last bullet point here is not second last. This is like the third last. The universe being so connected to Feige directly meant that he was spread thin and unable to give his personal feedback on projects until it was too late to make changes. When previously he may have indeed been able to steer something in a better direction, as he had many times.
Hmm.
So this is
That's
like
like
talking about how like he
your
was spread
opinion,
thin.
man.
Yeah. So we did talk a little bit about that, but let me just go then to the next bullet point where it says Feige was originally against the idea of doing Disney Plus shows, but eventually saw potential there, along with the move making Disney happy as it attempted to bolster signups. There have been wild swings in both quality, budget, and reception, and things do not appear to have stabilized yet, despite some recent wins mainly focused on cheaper shows. This person can't spell that or
Okay,
cheaper.
I want to ask two things first. Do you believe that statement where they said that Kevin Feige didn't want to do it initially, but eventually saw the potential? Do you think that he got forced into that, or do you think that he was like, okay, yeah, no, this could work?
No, I don't believe he was forced into it because the way he announced the Disney Plus shows, what was it? It was San Diego Comic Con 2020. I think it was 2019, 2019 or
Mm-hmm.
2020. The way he announced it and the way it looked, it seemed like this was something he fully supported. At first, I even thought it was his idea to
Mm-hmm.
have them like make these shows because he talked about how like, oh, this is gonna help us like he said, go home with these characters to see more of them, to know more about them, what they do, what they like, what they feel. I would also be on set kind of handling the actors and getting to know what's happening so they can be in line and in tone and in same quality of the MCU movies. And I was like, oh, so you on board with this, like you endorsing this. So now that I'm hearing that, oh, he wasn't initially on board, I'm like, stop lying, bro.
Okay, interesting. And I guess read that lastish line again. I just want to make sure that my facts are straight before I get into like a rant that could get me into trouble because I'm misinterpreting.
There have been wild swings in both quality, budget, and reception, and things do not appear to have stabilized yet, despite some recent wins mainly focused on cheaper shows.
Hmm. Do you think it's interesting that they say despite some recent wins? Doesn't that feel like it implies that there was recent losses? And if we were to admit that there are recent losses, does that not mean that there is not wild swings? It's just been consistent that there has been recent losses and now only there's been recent wins.
When I read this line, the whole thing of like, despite there being recent wins, I'm kind of looking for the wins. I'm really looking for them. I don't.
That's what I'm thinking, bro. I'm like, nah, this kind of feels weird. This feels like
Let's
you're
let's
trying to
let
you're
me
trying to spin this.
let me go here to hold on. Uh, to Marvel TV shows, right? Let's start with the first one, WandaVision.
No, don't do this.
WandaVision, good or not? Let's talk about that. Was it a win or a L?
Okay. Firstly, I want to just say something. I'm going to be a bit controversial as I normally am. I don't think I agree with a lot of people when they say that One Division was good until, right? Normally when people say that, I immediately just like tune out. I'm like, I'm not listening to whatever you are saying anymore because you're just a crazy person.
Hmm.
But I think One Division did have a good premise, did have an interesting way of trying to set it up and get you intrigued and stay tuned. Um and all kinds of things like that. I think that they had a good foundation there. But I think there was a complete disregard for the implications of what the story was. And I think it's partly because they didn't want it to come across as vile as it did, right? With like Wanda taking over the whole town for her little sitcom fantasy and stuff like that. I don't think they understood the exact implications. So I think because of that, the show suffers quite a lot. So I would want to say just because they are incapable of acknowledging what happened there, it is an L. But I think that there was a lot of things they could have done, and unfortunately, they just didn't.
Okay, L. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. L. On my spot. That's, yeah.
Look, bro, I'm not even gonna try and argue. That was super big L nonsense garbage.
Loki season 1.
I don't like it. Many people do. I think that it's just it cannot exist in the story. I think that they mess up the whole continuity question. And I would like to prove my point by just saying take note of how it never comes up anymore. Like we are nicely lacquer farce into the multiverse saga, and that whole Loki thing doesn't come up, bro.
Okay. So, L. What If season 1? Woo! L.
I think a lot of people like the idea, but I think that they didn't do enough with the concept.
It didn't. It just, the what if scenarios were not it, man. L. Hawkeye season 1.
What if the Thunderbolts were actually the Thunderbolts? That's a crazy what if season right there.
I would actually watch that episode. I would watch that. Hawkeye season 1. It is the more okay Disney Plus TV shows, but it just doesn't hit the notes to make it like it's so annoying. Let me just grant for this for just like 5 seconds. It's so annoying.
Go ahead, man.
That like every single thing we get or we got from Disney Plus is okay. It's never good, bro. And the thing that's the best is always like, nah, this is decent. Like what? Bro. It's just so stupid, man. Like Hawkeye, to think Hawkeye is like the bar, you know, like the highest thing here. That's so whack, bro. That's so whack.
Fascinating.
That's so whack. L. Moon Knight. L. Miss Marvel. L. She-Hulk. Attorney at Law. Massive L. Secret Invasion. L.
I'm gonna let you go down the list, bro.
Yeah, you can tell I'm speeding, bro. Loki season 2. L. The little good faith that it generated online with people with the first season, it assassinated everything in the second season. L. They phoned it in. What If season 2 and 3? L. Got worse. Echo season 1. Who the hell asked for it? L. Agatha all along. They say that, it's actually surprisingly good. L. Don't even lie to me. Your friend and neighborhood Spider-Man. Waste of time. L. Daredevil Born Again. Poor imitation of the original. L. Ironheart. Dead on Arrival. L.
Where's the flavor?
What else we got here? Eyes of Wakanda animated show. L. Nobody asked for it. Marvel Zombies. L. Wonder Man season 1. L. Daredevil Born Again season 2. My nigga, we need to, I don't know, man. Like, this is probably the hesitance in me is the Daredevil fan. L.
Let's not count our chickens. Maybe they can do something with Born Again.
Okay, I mean, I know that the first season was like, there was a lot of overall things going on, so that was that. Vision Quest. L. What is Vision doing, bro? What is he doing? What is he doing?
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Yeah. Where was this man?
Like, yeah, then that's what they got going on, you know? In TV shows. Everything.
Recent wins. I'm seeing a lot of wins here.
Where? Like, you see, like, this is the question, like, where are these wins, bro, that they're talking about? They're non-existent. Disney Plus didn't work.
It's like your brain.
Disney Plus didn't work, right?
I mean, at least Star Wars is doing good.
Oh, man.
At least Star Wars is doing good, right?
Oh, what was that tweet you mentioned about the Acolyte? Yo, that thing made my head spin. Yo.
Man, there's so many of them. But guys, if you ever want to, right? If you ever want to see good fight scenes in Star Wars, you should go watch The Acolyte. And if you ever want something that's like Andor, but with more lightsabers, go watch The Acolyte. As said by Twitter. That's not me, so don't come below for my neck in future. That ain't me. That's Twitter.
Let's get you to the last bullet point. It says, Feige reportedly has a decade-long plan for the X-Men in place after a decade and a half of mainly focusing on the Avengers and related characters. Not to say those will go away, but it would make sense to fully dive into these new characters it has finally gotten its hands on. Though questions are raised about what's exactly about to happen with a bunch of the Fox-era X-Men coming to Avengers Doomsday in some multiverse party. When presumably the all over 50 actors are about to be recast with younger variants shortly after. Though it certainly seems like they want at least one to carry over. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Jackman has not been confirmed to be appearing in Doomsday, however, despite a lot of his old X-Men cronies showing up.
Hmm.
So, and then like they end of year saying the idea overall appears to be make less stuff, but make better stuff. That seems wise, but I think we're still in a questionable era at the moment. Thunderbolts and Daredevil Born Again aside, and we may have to get through a bunch of mucky productions before this full reset happens. And the thing I'm worried about the most right now is Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars.
It's not going, you know what I'm saying?
So for me, this is where the complications come in, right? I understand when somebody tells me that they're going to make better things, try and focus more on quality over quantity and all kinds of stuff like that. But I get very skeptical when I don't believe you even understand what the problems were to begin with. How can you fix them if you don't know what they are?
Mm-hmm. I feel
So
like
like
we've
that's
talked
where
about
I'm
this
sitting
before.
here, where it's like I don't necessarily want to believe that statement just off rip.
Yeah.
I'd rather be cautious and sit back and be like, hey man, like if you're gonna do that, let's see what you got. But
This
I'd
is
rather wait to see what you make.
yeah, this has been my stance, and I'm telling you guys too. What do you guys think? In like, tell us in the comment section, like, what is your stance on that? Because my stance every time we get news reports about them course creating is always I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I
Mm.
see it, and until I see Marvel put out something that a is good, the writing is good, and the
Mm-hmm.
characters are good, and B, the box office shows that people are going to see this, I'm not going to think the MCU is back. So, I'm going to quote my friend Taddy, if you're watching this, and say the MCU died with Endgame,
Man, I'm out of here, bro.
and just
Dang.
leave it at that. That's his
So we're
stance.
just at the
Like,
funeral.
he's like, bro, the MCU ended with Endgame, and we've just been side questing. I am not into. I don't think he's seen any movie since Endgame.
Makes
None.
sense. I know so many people who like clocked out of the MCU. They just kind of re-enter every so often. Very recently, me and a couple of people in the office went to watch the Captain America movie, and like they were mostly like caught up in terms of some story stuff, but they were like, "When did this guy become Captain America, though?" And I was like, "Dang, I guess I gotta explain like the entire plot of Falcon and the Winter Soldier now."
See,
And like also like obviously reminding them stuff about the Incredible Hulk, but that's not on them. Like who knew when they were gonna get into this form that they needed to know about the Incredible Hulk?
who the hell knew? And then they tried to like explain things off by saying Betty Ross, Bruce Banner's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend.
The news saying that, bro, is so crazy.
It's
Hulk cannot
messy,
catch a break.
bro. The news is messy. Like, I know that woman worked for TMZ. She's so messy. Uh,
She's an op, bro.
but this article actually has a second ending, post-credit scene. It says here,
Oh.
the idea overall appears to be okay. I read that. It's this one here. There may be too much pressure on Feige after 15 years of this. Not to say that he should move on, but the idea to slow things down and not relentlessly launch a half dozen movies and shows a year regardless of quality is a good one. There are very big
Mm.
tests ahead, and this may take a while to kick into gear. And even if Thunderbolts has been good here, though so far not a huge earner, we may be waiting a few years for this reset to happen. You know?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah. I just think I don't know if it's like Kevin has to go or like he just needs like more people to work with him in what he does, because one guy doing the entire thing seems a bit much, don't you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to say you should be fired or something like that, right? That's just insane. That's unhinged. But
Yeah.
I would want that we are allowing projects to have more time in the oven, first of all,
Yeah.
right? So that at least if it's like garbage, it's cooked garbage, right? It's not like, oh, it's the third act. No, actually, the movie's done now. It's like, wait, what the hell just happened? I
And
swear I just got here.
yeah, man. You just walk into a film and wonder where the third act is. Or the second.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's like I would really want for us to get to that point at least where the thing can be cooked through and we can also then go, okay, it's not the best, right? It could have been way better, understandable, but we at least know that they've brought what they could. Because now we just sit there and go, man, the CGI in this scene is rough. And these guys got like 2 weeks to complete this, so I can't even blame them. Like they couldn't even show their stuff.
Yeah. And
So yeah.
I don't mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, the DCU guys, but like it's a it's an approach that, and and I'm gonna say two things about this. It's an approach that the DCU or DC Studios seems to be taking, where it's like, listen, we're gonna cook our scripts, and once the script is done and people like it and it's approved and it's looking good, then we're gonna go into production. Because James has claimed that, listen, a lot of movies are not doing good, and this could have been a shot he threw at Marvel. A lot of the movies aren't good because the scripts aren't like done. They're writing it during the filming process. Like the scripts aren't really, like you said, it doesn't spend time in the oven. But at the same time, I think he said that and he took that stance because he feels like, ha ha ha, this is the leverage now we have. This is what's going to make people, like us.
Look what they are doing bad. We won't do bad things. Support us.
Yeah, come to us. We're gonna cook our scripts because we have you in mind. But then it becomes a matter of like, okay, you're gonna cook, but am I gonna like the food?
Where's the flavor?
Yeah.
You cooked Superman. Let's taste it. Pause. Let's see if
Do you want to make some more people angry? Right? Tell us your thoughts on the marketing of Superman.
Man, I have lots of thoughts on the marketing. I think the marketing is bad.
Humiliating!
You guys can tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I think the marketing is bad. But of course, you guys are all gonna probably come for me once that trailer drops I think it's dropping in the week of the 16th. That's the rumor. And James himself has been a bit like, kind of hinting that, because they asked him where's the trailer, and he dropped a smiley emoji. The smile with the raised eyebrows of like, I know something you don't. So, the movie comes out July. I think it's time we get an official trailer. This movie that they're so scared to promote. I don't understand why. They're getting the NBA and basketball players to have shoes with the Superman logo and call that promotion. I guess.
Bro, you're gonna see. This is gonna be a generational run. I'm saying that ironically. I hope I'm right, bro. I say that like so much irony, but I hope I'm right.
Yeah, but we'll see, I always say, like, if I had to give an estimate of how much I think Superman's going to make, I always say 7 to 800 million. And
7 to 800 million.
yeah, and if the if the budget is 100 and something million or 200 million, that's more than enough to break even. And that should allow them to be like, okay, we can let you do the rest. Now, Supergirl. I don't know about that one. Clayface. Hey.
Hey, Clayface. He's gonna fight Batman, right? Right.
Yeah, and we actually got a report here of who's going to be the writer. I just saw now on my notifications on Twitter. They just released who's been tapped. So breaking news, guys. You heard it here first. Hussein Amini, who wrote Drive and The Snowman, will rewrite the script for Clayface. Oh, rewrite! Mike Flanagan wrote the previous draft of the script. Why is he rewriting?
Flanagan messed up. We need to course correct.
Oh no. But I mean, hey, this is most them cooking the stuff, right? In the oven until it's good. It's just that this movie has a production date of October this year. So, I mean, they have time.
Yep, they've got time. I'm just cautious, but I don't even want to comment on the DCU.
Yeah,
That place is
yeah.
a very wild minefield. There's so many what ifs in the discussion with the DCU alone.
With a lot of it has a lot of like diehards already, but yeah,
That as well.
diehards. But yeah, this is like the state of the MCU. Um, we have Fantastic Four in July. Um, we have Spider-Man next year in July as well. There is a date.
Yeah.
Yeah, yay for that, for real. There's a date secured for a Marvel movie for February next year, but it's not gonna make it because for that to be the case, it should have had started filming way back. Um, but who knows? Maybe it's a secret project. There's one for November next
Mm.
year. People are saying, a lot of scoopers are saying that's gonna be Doctor Strange 3, but people are like, that's impossible because we would have heard something about filming by now, you know. But they say, man, like we
Mhm.
only in May this time, for them to meet the November release date. I don't think so. But we'll see. After that, we have Secret Wars in 2027. In May, I believe, 2027, and in July 2027 we have another movie date. I don't know if that's gonna be Shang-Chi 2 or Doctor Strange 3. I don't know. It's gonna be something. Um,
Legend of the Ten Rings.
you know, I don't know.
Oh, what would this one be called? What would the next one be called?
It was going to be called The Wreckage of Time when Kang was involved, and it was gonna involve
Oh
time
yeah, because there was
travel.
like some sort of connection between his rings, the bracelets or the bangles, and Kang. I forgot.
Yeah, so it was going to be called The Wreckage of Time, and I think a Kang variant was going to be the villain, which I thought was a terrible idea because it takes away from exploring Shang-Chi's world. But now that that's not the case, I think this gives him the opportunity to now actually do something for him and his character. And, Talo, is it Talo?
I
Uh,
forget, but it's something to that. Somewhere around there.
and like other people are asking, give us Iron Fist, man, come on. Um, yeah, and then I know 2028 February, a lot of scoopers are saying it's Black Panther 3. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, and then after that, who knows? Captain Marvel 3, probably. Fantastic Four 2. I'm sure they'd want to fast track that if the first one does good. Um,
More like the new Avengers too. Am I right?
you know, yeah. I don't know if that franchise is going to continue, honestly speaking, but we'll see.
Nah, they're gonna do good. They're on serial now. You don't see them on serial in aisle with Alexi.
With the Wheaties box, with the little kiddie toy.
Exactly.
He shouldn't have shaved. He was nice with the beard. He shouldn't have shaved. And for the love
I
of
don't.
God, like,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off. Can we just
No
like
go.
can we just give him like a good costume? I feel like the last time he had a good costume was in the Black Widow movie. Like the costume in
Nah, you're a hater. You suck. His costume is brilliant because it because it looks nice.
Mono clearly trying to find a reason, and he just could not.
Man, I don't like the character. Okay, leave me alone.
He just could not. But like, in terms of like Avengers Doomsday, before we go here, what is something?
Mhm.
Is there anything you're excited about or looking forward to? What do you want to see?
An Avengers Doomsday, what do I want to see? This one is really tough to try and answer. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't even know really what the movie has to offer.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those things where it's like, oh man, Infinity War, we've seen all these characters. This is the repercussions of things that's happened so far. So what would you like to see? Like this one is one of those things that's like I genuinely like this is such a confusing time in the MCU. So I don't think I have any particular answer. Like I guess I would want to ask, what do you think you would want to see from it?
Mm, that's funny. I always tell myself the thing that I'm kind of, and this happens a lot. I like aesthetics and I like when things look
Mhm.
cool. So a lot of the times before film, I'm excited to see what people are going to wear. So if there's one thing I can say I'm excited about for Avengers Doomsday, pardon me, is the character designs. You know, we're getting people like Cyclops back. We're getting people like Magneto back. What are they going to wear? Is it going to be more comic accurate? Will Magneto have the purples and the reds? Will Cyclops have the blues and the yellow? Please don't. I hate that suit. I know people are like, it's comic accurate. I don't like the blue and yellow suit. What is he gonna wear with that? You know, what's Nightcrawler going to wear? You know, is it gonna be something closer to his leotard that he kind of wears? Sam, what's the Cap suit going to look like this time? John Walker. I've always wanted John Walker to have an update on his costume. What's he gonna wear this time? Yelena, you know, like I want to see what everyone's going to wear. So that's one thing that I would say I'm excited to see. How everyone's colors are gonna come together when they stand in shots. And that's the only thing so far. Yeah, that's for me. Especially like Thor. Like, what's he going to wear?
I really don't know. I guess I would want to see some really cool fight scenes. Shang-Chi is there, right? Let me see some really cool fight scenes, I guess.
Oh yeah. He's going to be there. I wonder if they're going to utilize his combat, because I don't know, the Russos, I don't know, they're directing. Look, a lot of cool MCU movies came out from them, but they kind of overhyped. Especially,
didn't they do the Electric State?
They did.
I thought that was like received poorly.
It was. So I don't know if they're going to keep that in mind and be like, listen, we have this guy named Shang-Chi, we need to give him like a cool ass, at least one like cool ass fight scene in this movie. So get like the stunt guys in. We need to make this work. I mean,
they might. Simu he allegedly has a bit of an ego, so he might be able to like push them in that direction.
Yeah, hopefully he does. Because a lot of people, when they see Shang-Chi's involved, they're like, oh, you can whoop some ass. Let's see him whoop some ass. You know.
Let's hope he does.
And I wonder who's going to be in the scene with him doing that. I don't know if there's any cool fighters they announced. Probably not. Everyone else just like, maybe him and Cap. They can do like a floor clearing scene where they're just beating guys up. Because apparently Sam is just like the best fighter ever.
When that happened, I'm not sure, because I did remember him not being that good of a combatant back in the day.
No, remember he trained with Isaiah Bradley. He pulled the thingies from his waist.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so that explains everything now.
Yeah.
Cool how that kind of works that way.
Yeah, he trained with him, so obviously like he's better now.
So now he knows Black Widow's fighting style.
Yeah, he can just throw hands. I swear, if he fights Shang-Chi or something and he's able to hold his own, I'm gonna throw popcorn at somebody.
He's gonna do exactly that now. Watch.
I'm gonna throw popcorn on somebody. But yeah, guys, I guess we reached the end of this conversation. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our viewers, Mono?
Don't believe anything that Marvel or the Marvel fans say unless you agree with it. Create the echo chamber, expand the echo chamber so that when the echo returns to you, as echoes tend to do, you remember the conditioning.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Very wise words.
I'm a very good brainwasher, so my brain is very clean. I wash it all the time. Sunlight liquid does great.
Oh man. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and comment down below your thoughts on everything that we discussed here today. If you find yourself enjoying this video, leave a like and subscribe for more conversations like this. Your support will be greatly appreciated, and your comment and your input is greatly appreciated as well. Always do you, and always look good doing it. This has been Saint George, and I was joined by Mono today.
Hi.
and we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.